There are some kinds of weight you can't see. They don't show up on a scale. They don't leave marks on your skin. But you feel them, every morning when you wake up. Every night when the house goes quiet. Eleanor had been carrying that kind of weight for longer than she cared to admit. She was 53 years old. Her husband had been gone for 2 years. Her children had grown up and moved away. Building lives in cities she'd only seen through phone screens. The house felt too big now. The silence too heavy. She wasn't sad exactly, she was just tired. Tired of carrying everything alone. Tired of holding on to things that used to matter. And tired of not knowing how to let them go. Sometimes, she caught herself standing in the hallway, forgetting what she came there for. Maybe she was looking for something she'd already lost. Eleanor had heard about the teacher from a woman at the grocery store. She doesn't talk much, the woman had said. But she helps you see things differently. Something about that stayed with her. Maybe it was the word see. Because Eleanor felt she hadn't really seen anything in a long time. So one Thursday morning, she drove to the edge of town where the teacher lived. The cottage had blue shutters and a garden full of wildflowers. Bees moved lazily between them. And the air smelled faintly of mint and earth. When Eleanor knocked, the door opened almost immediately. The teacher was older than Eleanor expected. Silver hair loosely tied back. Kind eyes that seemed to understand before you even spoke. She invited Eleanor in, poured tea, and listened quietly as Eleanor tried to explain the heaviness she carried. Words came out slowly at first. Then all at once like a door unlatched after years of silence. After a while, the teacher stood and disappeared into the next room. When she returned, she was holding a single red balloon. The kind from a child's birthday party. She tied the string gently around Eleanor's wrist and said, "Hold this balloon and don't let go no matter what." Eleanor looked at the balloon floating above her hand. "That's it?" she asked. The teacher smiled. "That's it." Eleanor wanted to laugh. But something in the teacher's calm eyes stopped her. Walking through town with a red balloon felt strange. People watched. A child pointed. A teenager laughed. She passed the coffee shop. The bookstore. The park where families sat in the sun. The balloon tugged lightly in the breeze. Eleanor gripped the string tighter. She didn't want to look foolish. She didn't want to fail at something so simple. But the wind began to pick up. The balloon pulled harder. Eleanor held on. She thought about all the things she'd been holding on to. Her husband's favorite coffee mug. Her daughter's purple bedroom. The wedding ring that now felt heavier than love. She'd been holding on to all of it. Trying to keep life exactly as it was. As if letting go meant forgetting. She whispered to herself, "If I let go of this, what else might slip away?" A stronger gust came. The string slipped slightly through her fingers. She gasped and tightened her grip. But her hand was tired. Her whole arm was tired. And suddenly, she realized. She'd been holding on like this for years. Not just to the balloon, but to everything. Without planning to, she opened her hand. The string slid free. The balloon lifted into the sky. For a moment, she almost reached out again. Then stopped herself. Eleanor watched it rise. Slowly at first, then faster as it caught the wind. Up past the rooftops. Past the trees. Until it was only a small red dot against the blue. She expected to feel panic, or shame, or failure. Instead, she felt relief. Lightness. Space to breathe. It was as if part of the weight she'd been carrying had gone with the balloon. Released into the sky to drift and dissolve. The afternoon light slipped across the street. Soft and golden. Wind brushed her hair. For the first time in years. She felt the air touch her skin without pressing down. She stood there for a long time, watching the sky. When she finally walked back to the cottage, the teacher was sitting in the garden with a cup of tea. "I let it go," Eleanor said softly. The teacher smiled. "You didn't fail the task," she said. "You learned it." They sat together in the quiet garden. The teacher's voice was calm. We spend so much of our lives holding on. To people, to memories, to the way things used to be. But peace doesn't come from holding on tighter. It comes from knowing when to open your hands. The wind moved through the garden, carrying the faint sound of chimes. Neither of them spoke again for a while. Eleanor drove home that evening with empty hands and a quiet heart. Nothing in her life had changed. The house was still too big. The silence still there, but something inside her had shifted. In the weeks that followed, she began letting go in small ways. She donated her husband's clothes, repainted her daughter's old room a soft cream, let phone calls end naturally instead of stretching them out. Some nights she sat by the window, watching the lights of passing cars, thinking about how many things move on without us noticing. She didn't forget. She didn't stop loving. She just stopped clutching so tightly. And slowly, quietly, she began to feel lighter. Sometimes she would see a balloon drifting across the sky, red, blue, or yellow, and she would pause to watch it rise. In those moments she remembered the lesson the teacher had given her. That life is meant to move. That love doesn't require a tight grip. That memory doesn't need to hurt to stay. That peace is not found in holding on, but in learning when to let go. Maybe peace isn't something we find, but something that finds us, once our hands are finally open enough to receive it.